I'm 83 years old, and most days the house is so quiet I can hear the clock in the kitchen ticking from my bedroom. It wasn't always like this. There used to be another sound here, her footsteps, her voice calling my name. I don't hear those anymore. I'm not telling you this because I want sympathy from anyone. I'm telling you because I don't have much time left, and some things feel heavier when you carry them alone. I spent 52 years chasing success. That's the clean way to say it. The truth is, I spent 52 years running after something that kept moving just far enough away that I never stopped. And while I was running, my marriage was slowly falling behind me, like someone trying to keep up and getting smaller and smaller in the distance with time. These days, I sit in the same chair every morning, near the window that looks out onto the street. I watch people walk their dogs, kids riding bikes, couples going to work together. I try not to stare too long. It makes the ache in my chest worse and worse more. I still wear my wedding ring. It's loose now, my hands are thinner, but I haven't taken it off since the day she died. When you get to my age, people talk to you in a certain way. They think you're full of stories. And I am. But most of the stories I have left are quiet ones. The kind that don't sound impressive. The kind that don't get told at dinner parties. But I told you today. The story. The story of my life. I met her when I was 24. She was standing behind the counter of a small bookstore near the university. I went in to buy a textbook. She handed it to me and smiled in a way that made me forget what I was supposed to say next. It wasn't flashy. It was warm, like she already knew me. We talked for almost an hour that day, about nothing important, books mostly. She liked old paperbacks and poetry. I liked business magazines and biographies of men who built things. We laughed about how different we were. I told her I wanted to make something of myself. She told me she liked the sound of that. Then we got married 2 years later after knowing each other maybe 2 years is enough. Back then, I really believed I was doing the right thing. I believed that if I worked hard enough, climbed high enough, earned enough, I could give us a good life, a safe life, a comfortable life. I wasn't trying to hurt her. I just didn't know what I was giving up. I got my first real job when I was 27. It wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. I came home tired, smelling like paper and ink in the office. She would have dinner ready. Sometimes we'd eat together at the small kitchen table. Sometimes I'd fall asleep on the couch before the dishes were done. She never complained. Never ever not at first. When I got promoted, we moved into a better place. When I got another promotion, we moved again. Each time the house got bigger. Each time the space between us did too, though I didn't see it. Then I was always tired, always thinking about the next project, the next meeting, the next step up. She started eating dinner alone more often. I told myself it was just temporary. Once things settled down, I'd slow down. That's what I kept saying. Once things settled down. But things never really do. We had a son when I was 34. I remember holding him in the hospital room, feeling terrified and proud at the same time. I promised myself I'd be a good father. I was there, physically. That's the best I can say. I went to work early and came home late. When he learned to ride a bike, she was the one running behind him in the driveway. When he had school plays, she was the one clapping in the audience while I sat in a conference room somewhere, telling myself I'd make the next one. I missed a lot of next ones that never come. She would tell me small things about her day, a neighbor, a book she was reading, something our son said. I would nod while looking at my phone or thinking about work. I thought listening meant being quiet while she talked. I didn't realize listening meant being there with full attention with not the phone. We started to argue in our 40s, not loud arguments, the kind that wear you down, the kind that come from being tired of not being seen. She would say, "You're always somewhere else." I would say, "I'm doing this for us." And in my head, that was true. But in her life, It didn't feel that way. Years went by like that. Work got better. My name started to mean something in my field. People shook my hand like it mattered. At home, things grew colder. She stopped telling me about her day. I didn't notice at first. I was relieved, actually. Fewer interruptions, more quiet, more time to think about work, and work more. I didn't understand that silence can be louder than words. The night she finally told me she was unhappy, we were sitting at opposite ends of the couch. The TV was on, but neither of us was watching. She said, "I feel like I've been alone for a long time." I laughed a little, nervously. I told her she was being dramatic. That's one of the sentences I wish I could take back. Not because it was cruel, but because it was careless. I mean, I am not carrying her with money, but not with my time, not with my attention. We didn't separate. We didn't divorce. We just kept living in the same house like polite strangers. I told myself that meant we were okay. We weren't. Then she got sick. It wasn't sudden. It came quietly, like everything else. A cough that didn't go away. A tiredness that didn't make sense. Doctor visits that took too long. I still went to work. I thought I had time. By the time I realized how serious it was, she was already losing weight. Already looking at me in a way that made me feel like I was standing at the edge of something I couldn't step back from. I sat with her in the hospital one night. The machines hummed. The room smelled like disinfectant. She held my hand, and her fingers felt thinner than I remembered. She said, "I wish we had more time." I didn't know what to say. That's how you know you've waited too long, when the right words don't come anymore. She died 3 months later. There were a lot of people at the funeral, people from my work, people who said nice things about me, about her too. But when the house emptied out, it was just me and the quiet. That was when I realized something that took me 83 years to understand. Success doesn't sit with you at night. Money doesn't remember your stories. Awards don't hold your hand when you're scared. The house is still here. The things are still here. But she isn't. If you're still listening, I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I want you to understand me. I wasn't evil. I wasn't careless on purpose. I just kept believing there would be more time one day, but this one day never come. There usually isn't. I still wake up some mornings reaching for her side of the bed. It's been years, and my hand still moves before my mind catches up. There's just cold sheet and a small dent where her shoulder used to be. That's how you know something was real. Your body remembers even when the person is gone. After she died, I took some time off work. People expected me to be grateful for the rest, for the quiet. I didn't know what to do with myself. The job that had filled my days suddenly felt small and far away. I would sit in the living room and stare at the walls, noticing things I had never really seen before. The way the paint near the window was peeling. The tiny crack in the corner of the ceiling she used to complain about. The bookshelf full of novels she loved and I never read. Our son would call sometimes. He was grown by then, with his own job and his own family. We talked about practical things, the funeral, the paperwork, what to do with her clothes. He sounded kind, but distant. I don't blame him. We were never very close. I was always working. One afternoon, months after she passed, I opened one of her old drawers. Inside was a stack of notebooks. Journals, really. I didn't know she kept them. I sat on the bed and started reading. She wrote about me. Not in a bitter way, not in an angry way, just in a lonely way. She wrote about waiting for me to come home, about eating dinner alone, about wanting to tell me things and feeling like I wasn't really there when she did. She wrote about loving me and not knowing how to reach me anymore. I closed the notebook and cried in a way I never had before. Not loud, just quietly, with my face in my hands, feeling something in my chest break open. I had been so busy building a life that I never noticed the one I was supposed to be living. Years passed. I eventually retired, People threw me a party, gave me a plaque, told me how much I'd accomplished. I smiled and thanked them. I took the plaque home and put it in a drawer. I didn't know where else to put it. The days are slow now. I make coffee. I sit by the window. I read the newspaper. Sometimes I go for a walk. The neighborhood has changed. New families, new faces. Nobody knows who I am. That's okay. I visit her grave once a week. I bring flowers. I talk to her like she can hear me. I tell her about the weather, about the birds, about our son. I tell her I'm sorry. I don't know if that matters anymore, but I say it anyway. If you're younger than me, which you probably are, I want to tell you something without sounding like I'm giving advice. The things that feel urgent now won't always feel that way. The emails, the meetings, the deadlines, they disappear. The people you love don't. I thought I was being responsible. I thought I was being strong. I didn't realize I was slowly letting go of the one person who would have stayed with me to the end. Now, I sit in a quiet house with a lifetime of memories and no one to share them with. That's not a punishment. It's just how things turned out. If this story meant something to you, you can sit with it for a while. You don't have to do anything with it. Just let it be there. That's what I'm learning to do now. At 83, there isn't much time left. I don't know how many mornings I have, but I know this. When my time comes, I won't be thinking about my career. I'll be thinking about her. I miss her every morning, and I tell you, don't miss your precious moments on the name of Success Bee, because at the end of the life only matters the beautiful time that you spent with the right person in your whole life. That time is your real success in life.